What's up? I'm Coach Dan Blewett. In today's video, let's talk about how to get ready for baseball season. All right, so if you're new here, I'm Dan Blewett. I'm a former pro pitcher and a former baseball and softball academy owner. I sold that to transfer full-time into my writing, my speaking, and all my YouTube and online endeavors like this one. But today's video, let's talk about how to get you ready for baseball season. I helped lots and lots of players get ready over the years. And obviously, for me as a high school, then college, then pro player, I learned a lot over the years doing this. And at the very end, stick around. I'm going to give you some overall guidelines and things you just need to think about because, yes, you need to get a lot of reps. And that's what we're going to talk about in part from these different aspects of getting ready. But also there's just a bigger picture of what the really thoughtful, high-level player does to get ready for the season. So stick around to the end where I'm going to talk more in depth about all that stuff. All right, so the first thing is getting your arm in shape. And look, there has been conclusive evidence that when players don't get ready as soon in the offseason, or when there was like a strike or there was a shortened offseason in baseball, players that maybe went all the way to the World Series in Major League Baseball, when they have less of an offseason, injury rates rise in the spring. You see more injuries. COVID was not good for injuries. All these sorts of things, when players are rushed and they have a shorter window with their arms, and specifically we're talking about pitchers, more injuries happen. And lots of high school players especially, they have really painful, hurting arms in March and April because they really did not ramp up well in the offseason. Ideally, you're starting in October, going really slow, the first 4 weeks of October, then the next 4 weeks in November, and you're just building up, you're smoothing out your mechanics, you're fixing lots of stuff when you're working on slow speed and not stressing velocity. And then as you start to move towards full speed, you start to try to increase some velocity. You get your arm going as fast as it can go. Hopefully it's moving a little faster now. Then you transition to bullpens in January and February, and those increase in intensity and duration and complexity leading up to March 1st. That's how it's done. Now, if you're watching this on January 1st and you only have 2 months and you're starting from scratch, that's not a good place to be in, and you really need to think hard about how important baseball is to you for next year and when you start your prep. 2 months is not enough to make meaningful changes to your mechanics and improve your slider and your curveball and your changeup and all that stuff, and also get ready. It just isn't. So, but if you have 8 weeks, you need to start throwing now. You need to start with 3 to 4 days a week of catch, start spinning your off-speed stuff at a low speed, and then you need to slowly ramp up in both intensity and duration. So whether that's, going from 5 minutes of catch to 10 minutes of catch to 15 minutes of catch to 20 minutes of catch, or by throw count and by distance. So you need to be thoughtful about it. Think about where you need to be on March 1st and then where you are today, and backtrack the stepping stones to say, okay, I'm going to increase a moderate amount of volume each week. I'm going to increase only a moderate amount of intensity each week. I'm not just going to jump right into it. If you jump right into it, you're going to end up paying for it later, a month later, when you've got severe tendonitis, you've got problems, you maybe get severely injured because you didn't ramp up. So be cautious, write this down, stick to a plan, and find a warm indoor space if you're in a cold part of the country where you can get those reps consistently and safely so you can build up slowly. All right, number 2, arm care. Arm care needs to be a significant part of your ramp up for the season. And this is going to help you become more durable, help your arm be more resilient. Because as that throwing load really spikes in March and April, when practices become 5 days a week, 6 days a week, and games start coming, your arm is going to be heavily taxed, even if you did ramp up. Arm care gives you extra armor, extra resilience to let your arm be more durable and handle those increased loads. So you absolutely have to start arm care if you haven't already, now that it's the turn of the new year. Number 3, hitters. You need to, get off the tee consistently. You don't want to be Blister McGee in March and April, which happens to a lot of players who don't swing a bat much in the offseason. Then they're suddenly hitting every day and their hands are torn to shreds. It's not a good place to be in, number 1. Number 2, you need to see some speed. So whether it's getting against live pitching indoors or against a good pitching machine indoors, you need to help your eyes adjust to velocity. That's one of the hardest things and one of the last things to come. Every pitcher like myself, you feel like a god in spring training because you're 89 when your arm's not full speed either. Your 89 just blows past hitters who haven't seen velocity all winter, because there's not a great way to replicate. You have to have a really good pitching machine or guys that can throw your speed pitching to you, which is pretty rare. But you need to do everything you possibly can to either stand in, if you obviously have to know someone who's a pitcher who's getting ready for the season, go ask if you can stand in, put some armor up, like get your Barry Bonds arm guard, but stand in there and help your eyes adjust to velocity. It's a really important part of you being a better hitter. I'm not going to get into all the mechanics of hitting and all that other stuff. You need to be doing that all winter if you really want to improve your mechanics, just like with your pitching mechanics. But when it's crunch time in those final 2 months, see some velocity, see if you can see some breaking balls. Again, this is going to require somebody throwing them to you. You're going to have to ask around and be creative about how you can get those. Maybe your dad has a filthy hammer and he wants to throw it to you. Great, right? Or he's got a nasty slider and wants to throw some. Great. But most of us don't live in that world. So you're going to have to, again, ask around, stand in on some bullpens. Outfielders, it's really challenging for you to get better at tracking fly balls if you live in a cold weather climate. Obviously, there's no way for people to really replicate the shape and size of fly balls for you to get better at tracking them unless you get outdoors. So you have to be, willing to throw on a coat, throw on a hoodie, and get out there if it's 35 degrees and ask somebody to hit you mammoth fly balls so you can track them down. That's the only really real good way to get reps. Obviously, you're going to get those reps when high school season starts or when your travel team starts up. But in a perfect world, you're continuing to get better at tracking fly balls and reading ground balls from the outfield and making those long throws all winter long. And that's just going to be you having to suck it up and go out in the cold and take fly balls. So see if you can find someone and ask around, get your outfielder buddies, say, hey, I know it's cold, it's going to suck, let's go out and there and do it. We'll bring a boom box, we'll make it fun. We'll all take turns hitting, missiles at each other. It's a really important thing to do. Again, it's hard if it's cold outside, I get it, but it's necessary because an indoor gym will never replicate fly balls that are going to actually make you better. You've got to get those really mammoth fly balls hit up into the clouds for you to actually get better at tracking them. Infielders, you've got to get as many reps as you can, and you also need to see speed. So yes, go find a rebound wall, throw a tennis ball off it to yourself, get a buddy, throw each other ground balls across the gym floor as much as you can, get someone to hit you a million ground balls, field them all different ways, throw with every different arm angle, work on that hard stuff in the off season so you're ready for spring. But also get out on the cold dirt field, especially if you live in a warm climate, hooray, you won the lottery. If you live in a cold climate, again, you got to suck it up. Go out there, hit ground balls into that cold dirt and take as many as you can. Don't throw them across the infield if you want, right? Just act like, hey, I'm about to throw it and then put it in the buckets. You can save your arm, get 150 ground balls a day. That's the stuff that really makes a player the next level, that next caliber, is taking as many ground balls as they can. And not just quantity, just for quantity's sake, but quality. Read those ground balls, really work hard, make it a game simulation. It's not just going through the motions to say you got your 1,000 ground balls. It's really putting yourself in there and imagining that runner running, booking it down the line, and you're going to make that tough throw. Again, find the balance of making throws, so you work on your throws too, but also not throwing so much because you can't throw 200 a day. You're going to wear your arm out. So just find a balance of, hey, I'm going to make 75 throws today after I play catch and warm up. And then after that, we're going to do another 50 ground balls, but I'm not going to throw them. I'm just going to toss them in the bucket, whatever it is. But again, you got to be creative. You got to ask around and get those ground balls in. Catchers, you absolutely have to volunteer yourself to catch bullpens. Go to the local baseball academy, call them up, call the local men's league, call the college down your street. There's colleges everywhere. Ask if you can catch bullpens. It's a gritty, crappy job, right? No one likes catching bullpens, but if you're a catcher and you don't like catching bullpens, then you need to question why you're being a catcher. Why are you a catcher if you don't like your actual job of catching? The best way for you to get better at catching the next level slider, catching that higher speed pitcher, if you're a JV player, are you going to be capable of catching a high school varsity player who can throw 85? Not unless you start actually doing it. So text people, make friends, ask the star pitcher in your high school, hey, do you need someone to help catch bullpens? I'm here to help. Even if they don't know you, who's going to turn you down? No, I don't want a free catcher who's going to basically be at my disposal so that I can get better. You're helping each other. So you need to take that mindset, put yourself out there, ask around, ask anyone, can I catch your bullpens? I'm willing to do it. That's the number one quality that's going to make you a better catcher. All the hard work, the blocking, the receiving drills, those are great, but you've got to see actual pitching, actual spin, read the slider, block the actual curveball in the dirt. Catchers go catch. And lastly, let's talk about strength and conditioning. This is super important, obviously. You've got to get your sprints in. Again, if you live in a cold climate, sprinting outside in January and February, it sucks. It sucks a lot. We know that. Your cleats are going to barely dig into the cold dirt. But look, if you want to be in game shape on March 1st and really run a great 60 and really be ready to go, and you have your legs not just destroyed by the first 3 weeks of practice, you actually have to go out and run sprints. Run some 20s, some 30s, some 40s, and some 60s, right? A 60 is home to third. It's a long sprint. If you want to run a better 60 time and you're not running 60s and you're not running sprints consistently, then your actions don't match your words. You don't actually want to run a better 60. You just want to dream about running a better 60. Sprinters sprint, runners run. If you want to be a faster sprinter and run a faster 60 time, you've got to get your butt out there and run more 60s, run more 40s, run more hundreds, get out there and sprint. It's not complicated. You can make your own workout. Just go out there, sprint, walk back when you feel like you're fully rested, then sprint again. It doesn't have to be complicated. You can easily Google this. You can search on YouTube. You'll find sprint workouts. It's not that hard, but you have to mentally get in the place where, hey, I want to get better. I want to get faster. That means I have to suck it up, put on a hoodie, go out when it's 32 degrees and run sprints. And then there's strength training. Again, you can't just jump on strength training January 1st and expect to get much out of it. You don't make that much progress in 2 months. The 4, 5, 6 month mark, when that rolls around, when you've been consistent, that's when the magic really starts to happen. So if you haven't hit it hard and it's January 1st and you're thinking about getting in the gym, just understand that you kind of missed the boat this year and you should try to do better next year if you're really serious about baseball. January 1st to March 1st is not going to cut it. And I know you could be saying, oh, well, why can't I keep going after March? Strength training just changes when it hits in season. You're playing so much baseball and you're practicing so often that in-season lifting is not going to help you get bigger and stronger. It's going to be more like maintenance and helping you not lose the strength that you built in the off-season. So it's incredibly important that you really spend a solid part of the off-season building strength, getting bigger, getting stronger, so then you can maintain it with workouts during the spring and the summer, and then hit it hard again next winter. That's sort of how the cycle goes. If you're just trying to absolutely get gigantic in the spring season, it's going to affect your baseball performance in a very negative way and maybe get you injured. So you have to be really cautious. In-season training for baseball is one of the most complicated types of workouts there are. If you need help with that, I do have a strength program called Early Work. You can try it for free. You'll find in the description below. But look, strength training is a big part of the modern baseball player's journey. It's why players are so big and so fast and so strong and hit bombs and throw so much harder than they used to. Strength training is here to stay. So you have to really be consistent with it. And if you're starting just now on January 1st, okay, do the best you can, but just know that next year you need to do better. All right, so if you made it here to the end, and I hope that you have, but I know that most of you on YouTube don't because I watch my own analytics and I know probably only 20% of you are still here. Here's the thing that you really need to know. Being a better baseball player from one year to the next takes a lot of thought and a lot of introspection and a self-audit, which means you have to really be honest and say, look, I know this stings, but I'm going to ask someone for help and ask them to give me a good evaluation of like how good my slider actually is, why I don't throw as hard as I maybe want to, why I'm so darn slow, what do I actually need to be a starting third baseman instead of a backup third baseman. Whatever it is, you need to actually really want to know the answers of how can I get better? And to hear how can I get better, it takes you hearing and really listening and understanding where are my weaknesses. We all have weaknesses. Just embrace them. When you get a new weakness, when someone tells you you're just not very fast and it's because your hamstrings are weak and you're not in the gym enough, that is a gift. That allows you to then go and say, okay, I've got what I need. Now all I need is a plan to get better. And there are all sorts of people. There's videos. There's people like me on the web who are helping you find those ways. So you need to be really introspective about what you struggled with last season and what your goals are and what types of training and what types of little nuanced things are going to make you better. So if you're a hitter and you're not very good at going the opposite way, that you're really good at pulling the ball and you're really good at hitting fastballs, but you struggle with off-speed stuff and you struggle hitting to the opposite way, well, how is that going to shape your hitting plan for the offseason? It should be a lot of tee work, going oppo, and then there should be a lot of batting practice thrown to you with a focus on going oppo while still being able to pull the ball when they occasionally bring it into you. And also you need to find a way to see more breaking balls because you struggle with that. See more changeups because you struggle with that. It goes back to asking around to find someone to throw to you. So the best players, they don't just go through the motions. They don't just sign up for their hitting lessons. They don't just sign up for their hitting groups and their pitching groups. They take a really hard look at themselves and they say, okay, yes, I've got all this work to do, but I really need to work on my slider. I really got to work on my changeup. I really need to get better at burying my curveball when I'm ahead in the count. I need to get better at throwing my changeup for first pitch strikes. So when I throw bullpens, I'm going to really focus on mentally breaking up into hitters. And I'm going to throw that first pitch change up over and over and over and over and over because I want to get better at that pitch. That's what I did every offseason as I got older and smarter. And that's what all the best players do. It's not just showing up and getting my swings and getting my ground balls. It's I'm working on this specific type of ground ball that I struggled with last season. Or I'm working on blocking sliders, and I want to catch as many pitchers who throw me sliders as I can as a catcher so that I can get better at blocking sliders because I really struggled with that last year. Or maybe my throwing as a catcher needs to get a lot better. So you really have to sit down. It's hard. Look in the mirror. Ask people around you, your coaches, your instructors, your parents, whoever can give you an honest evaluation and say, how can I get better? Lay it on me. Because when I get that information, now I'm free to make the changes that I need to make to be the player that I one day hope to be. All right. Thanks for watching. If you made it here to the end, good job. And I'll see you here in the next video.